Continuing with football on the SportsMax Zone, the international break is over for the moment, so it's back to the bread and butter of club football and the English Premier League in particular. Chelsea have 5 wins and they lead the standings with 16 points. They host fellow Londoners Brentford in the late game on Saturday. In other games, Wolves travel to the Midlands to face Aston Villa, travel to Birmingham to play Aston Villa. Liverpool, they go to London to play Watford. United, they make the trip to Leicester City. Burnley are in Manchester to face City. Brighton, they go to Norwich. Leeds go south. Southampton is the destination. Everton entertain West Ham in Liverpool. Newcastle entertain Tottenham. And Crystal Palace and Arsenal meet in another London derby. So this is the table. Villa in 10th place on 10 points. West Ham in 9th on 11. Brentford, look at them, in 7th place, 12 points from their 7 games. Brighton, Graham Potter's team playing well. They have 14 points from their 7 games. Rafa Benitez has Everton travelling strongly as well. They are on 14 points from their 7 games. And then the 2 Manchester clubs just above them. And then Liverpool and Chelsea at the top. Norwich, a horrible start, only a point for Daniel Farke's team. Newcastle, not much better, in 19th place. Burnley, Sean Dyche's team. Is this the season when Burnley's bubble bursts for sure? Southampton also winless. So there are 4 winless teams in the Premier League, and they occupy the bottom 4 places. Leeds have been callow sometimes and unconvincing next, and Arsenal sit in 11th place. All right, so as I noted, the Blues, Chelsea host fellow Londoners Brentford in that late game on Saturday. And Brentford have enjoyed a dream start to life in the EPL, winning 3 and losing just 1 of their 7 games today. Brent Sancho joins us to preview this Brentford-Chelsea clash, along with some other games from the round. All right, Brent, the first day we saw Brentford, high octane, high intensity, some quality up front, some men who looked very good in possession. And even though Ivan Toney didn't get a goal in that game, he still was impressive. And subsequent to that opening game, he did get goals. Brentford showed from the first week that they can cut it at this level, albeit it was against Arsenal, but never mind. Since then, they have built on that opening day performance and have gone well. Chelsea have gone well. It's 2 attacking teams. What happens when they clash on Saturday, you believe?
Yeah, certainly an entertaining one, a West London derby, as mentioned. Of course, these 2 teams meeting for the first time since 1947. And of course, it's a long way from 1947. First of all, Brentford reminds us of all the the championship teams that have been promoted and have done well. Sheffield United comes to mind as one of the latest examples for that. One thing I must say, George, I did wonder whether or not they could play that high-octane football that we saw in the championship for the last 3 or 4 seasons. They finally got promoted last season in the Premiership, and so far so good. They've done extremely well in that approach. Ask Liverpool, they were run to bits by Brentford, particularly that man Ivan Toney. But I think one thing I must say about Chelsea is that they have been professional in their approach, despite the fact they haven't played particularly great. They've still been getting results, and hence the reason they're at the top of the table. And I expect that to follow a similar vein this derby on Saturday.
Question on one player before the rest of the panel comes in, Brent. For the Chelsea team, what do you reason to be the rationale for Tuchel preferring Mikel Alonso to Ben Chilwell at left back?
It's been a hot debate here, in of course, because of Ben Chilwell's nationality, but it's been a hot debate.
And his £50 million price tag.
And his price tag as well. But I think, I mean, if I'm to be brutally honest, I think it's down to quality. To me, I think Alonso just has a bit more quality. And if you look at the way that Tuchel approaches games, the wide players need a bit of quality. They have to have a lot of quality. And I think he just presents a bit more quality, whether it's the services in the box, whether it's decision-making, whether it's positional play, when they have the football, transitional play. I think from that aspect, he is the better player, and is very few could argue differently. However, of course, the price tag, and as I said, his nationality, the argument will be heated here in England.
Yeah, and Brent, a big one, Newcastle versus Tottenham, and I'm saying a big one, especially because Newcastle, they have new owners, they have a lot of money now, and there's a lot of discussion surrounding whether they'll actually be proper competitors.
Yeah, now you could say they're the richest club in world football, but they are still abysmally poor. That's a fact. They can't do anything until January. They can't sign any players. And of course, Steve Bruce has the task of trying to put together this poorly assembled team into some sort of rhythm. They do have Callum coming back into the lineup, but I just think that they've been so poor. It's hard to see Newcastle. Of course, Spurs having recently, I think a couple hours ago, 2 players testing positive for COVID. They have not said who their names are. But Spurs as well have struggled a bit. So it will be an interesting battle. I think the atmosphere in St. James's Park is going to be a jovial one, and that might be enough to push the team. I think this is a close one, and I might feel that this one will go to a tie. But certainly Newcastle can't wait till January to spend that big cash.
Yeah, and you know how fans are. They feel as if, well, now that they got the big money, despite not being able to use any of it yet, they're expecting a turnaround of form. So Steve Bruce would be under sort of a pressure as he takes on Tottenham under these.
Right, he's gone. There's no pressure. He's gone. He's not going to be there in January. I can tell you that right now. He's not going to survive this. Not especially when you have owners with the type of money that they have coming in. Steve Bruce is not the type of manager that can attract top-level footballers, and that's what Newcastle wants to do. There's a lot of conversation about them bringing in a sporting director. Some top names in the game has been mentioned, and I think that's going to be their first move, which I think is the right move. And I think the sporting director's first job is to call Steve Bruce in his office for a coffee and tell him, on your way, son, because then from there they're going to start to plan, of course, their pathway to the January transfer market.
So, Brent, you're telling me if this man, as of the first game versus Tottenham, starts winning, going on a winning streak, they're going to call him in the office for coffee and get rid of him.
He can win every single game from now till January. He's still gone.
Okay.
Brent, he was expected to be sacked this weekend. So what's the hold-up?
I think they want to put the sporting director in place first, and good money would suggest that is the right move. Any top-level football club, that's the way you do business. You want someone that could come in and start molding the structure of the football club. That's not the manager's job. That's a sporting director job. So a sporting director is going to come in, assess everything, and, of course, start to look at some of the signings that they're going to bring in. And, of course, first and foremost, he's going to start to look at the type of manager that the club would want to mold, of course, the way Newcastle starts doing things moving forward. So I think that's their first approach. And to be honest with you, Lance, it's the only reason why Steve Bruce is still there is because they have not been able to sign a sporting director just yet. But I can tell you, as I said, doesn't matter what he does, he is gone.
I want to ask you this before you go, though, Brent. Monday's game, the Crystal Palace-Arsenal game, of course, Patrick Vieira, the Arsenal icon, goes to Arsenal with Crystal Palace. What sort of reception will he get there?
Yeah, he's still very much loved by the Arsenal fans, and I expect a warm reception for him. I'm over the moon as to what he's been able to do. Of course, I was a bit worried with the start that Palace have had to the season. But he certainly turned things around, and you know, he has been, and Palace has been a joy to watch. He's taken some huge gambles, Lance, when it comes to signing up players, you know, into the Premiership. A lot of unproven young talent, but they have fought for him in the last couple of games. And look, don't put it past Crystal Palace to spring one on Arsenal. I mean, I think anyone really could spring one on Arsenal. But, you know, I think don't put it past Crystal Palace because Vieira is playing well, and Vieira's team is playing well. And I think they can get a result.
Yeah, you just had George being very amused by the Arsenal comment there, and I know we'll get some voice messages coming in soon from the Arsenal fans.
Well, I can't get voice messages here in London, so you guys can answer them for me.
All right, Brent, thanks for talking to us. We'll catch up with you next week, I'm sure.
No problem, guys. Have a good one.
This is the SportsMax Zone. Still a lot to come on the show. Don't forget, there's big horse racing from Ascot on Saturday on the channel, starting 7:30, 8:30 Eastern Caribbean time. The Champion Stakes featuring a big clash between Adayar and Mishrif. And that's going to be coming up at about 10 to 10 Jamaica time, 10 minutes to 11 Eastern Caribbean time. And that will be on SportsMax.